the dangers of diabetic ketoacidosis?
I could happily eat the standard ketogenic diet for the rest of my life and be perfectly healthy and fit with it. But it may not work for everyone always. And although I love keto foods, you can get kind of bored if that's all you eat for the rest of your life. If you have the same thought, then keep watching.
Potatoes.
The Cyclical Ketogenic diet, or CKD, is basically keto with some carb refeeds. You eat ketogenically for maybe a week or two, and then you have 1 to 2 days of carbohydrate feasting. Now wait a moment, how is this supposed to work? If you have to spend so much time and effort to get into ketosis in the first place, wouldn't all that be in vain? Not entirely. Your body adapts to almost anything and tries to maintain homeostasis, a state of inner equilibrium. Because of that, you won't go through some serious metabolic changes on a daily basis either. Like with eating keto for 1 day won't put you into ketosis, you won't get kicked completely out of it either by overeating some carbs in one occasion. If you do CKD right, then chances are you'll be in ketosis 90% of the time, be burning sugar for the rest, and re-establish your ketogenic pathways by the next day. By the least, you'll get back into it within the next 2 to 3 days.
Few good taters.
But before you try it, you have to remember a few principles. Before trying CKD, you want to follow the standard ketogenic diet for 2 to 3 weeks to ignite your fat burning pathways and shift your metabolic gears. When you're not carb loading, you eat standard keto judiciously. No surprise sugars in your foods, no inflammatory compounds, no blind spots. You have to know the state of your health as well. The cyclical ketogenic diet involves meals that will skyrocket your insulin and blood sugar into the orbit. If you're diabetic or suffer from any other medical condition, then you'd want to consult your physician. I'm not going to take any responsibilities for potential damage to your health. Don't mix high-fat keto foods with sugar. This point cannot be stressed enough. It's the worst combo. A ton of salt, sugar, and fat causes insulin resistance and diabetes.
Diabetes.
Lastly, you want to ask yourself, do I need carbs? The cyclical ketogenic diet is ideally constructed for low-carb athletes and bodybuilders who have to manipulate ketosis and glycogen depletion to increase their performance. Carb cycling may have unwanted side effects for sedentary people who don't train as hard, because you may still feel like shit when you get kicked out. While average Joe who exercises 3 times per week and sits in an office most of the day gets fat by just looking at 500 grams of carbs, Champ here, who trains diligently for 2 hours 6 times per week, can eat over 1000 grams of carbs in conjunction with 6000 calories while still looking ripped the next morning.
Fettuccine Alfredo. Time to carbo load.
The standard cyclical ketogenic diet, SCKD, well, prescribes you to have 2 days of carb loading. The reason being, your body can store only a certain amount of carbohydrates as glycogen at once. But there's a caveat to this. Research done by Wilson, Lowry, and the et al. Crew in Orlando, Florida, has shown that subjects who followed the SCKD protocol didn't improve their strength and actually lost their muscle mass. Whereas those who stayed SKD the entire time got stronger and more built.
I haven't had a carb since 2004. Check these out. See these? See these boys? This is what I live with.
My hypothesis is that 2 days was too long and it kicked them too far out of ketosis. They were also calorically restricted while continuing to train, and because of that, they remained to be in this peripheral state. No energy from keto foods and not enough carbs to preserve muscle.
Wilson!
Because of that, I would suggest that only 1 day of carb loading would solve most of those issues. You may not be able to top off your glycogen 100%, but you'll gain at least 80% of the results. How often should you have these carb refeeds? That would depend on your goals and the physiological conditions of your body, e.g., how often do you train, at what intensities, how much muscle mass you have, how little body fat, and so on. And also, what's your carbohydrate tolerance? In general, you would want to have 5 days minimum between your refeeds. A lot of people like to eat keto during the week and then feast on the weekends. You have to find what suits you. Everything here has to be taken with a grain of salt. The cyclical ketogenic diet involves some serious manipulation of your physiology. If you don't have a clue of what to do, then you can potentially screw up your metabolism. That's why before you try it out, you would have to educate yourself about it or hire a coach. I've written a cyclical ketogenic diet program called Keto Carb Cycle that teaches you everything about this type of carb cycling and ketosis. In the past, I've done CKD for up to 6 to 8 months on a consistent basis, and it works great. Get your steak, get your cake, and eat it too. Keto Carb Cycle includes 50 plus high carb and low carb recipes and has a 30-day meal plan with exact quantities of how many carbs and other macros to eat. So if you're interested, check it out. But in the meantime, click the like, subscribe, notification bell as well. Thanks for watching. My name is Seem. Stay cycling, stay empowered.
Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew.